Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Corner HVAC. I'm glad you joined me today. I got a couple things to talk to you about, but first, I wanted to say thank you to all the current and future subscribers out there. All the likes, the shares, the comments, all that kind of stuff that I see, I love it. I get to talk to people from all over the place, and I think that's awesome. So if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do so. That way you can be part of the community and see all the future videos coming out and that kind of stuff. So if you're not subscribed, hit the button. It's YouTube. You know how to do it. It's not that hard, but it really does mean a lot. The other thing is, if you follow the videos regularly, you know that Andy's Corner HVAC will be going to print pretty soon. First edition books will be ready to release shortly. As soon as they're ready for purchase, there will be links in the bio of the channel as well as links in the description of each video that comes out. So be on the lookout for that. As soon as it's here, as soon as it's ready, the next one's on its way. So you want to know how long the typical HVAC system lasts in a home. Well, there's a lot of different variables that go along with that. So I think in order to give an accurate statement, we would need to go through some of those variables and see, because everybody's situation is not the same. You know, I've heard a lot of different stories out there about how long a system should last. Some are way too short, some are way too long. I mean, will a furnace last 40, 50 years? Absolutely not. Not these days. Will an air conditioner last that long? Nope. But should you have to replace it at 5 years? Probably not, but I have seen the occasions arise. So it just really depends on the situation itself. You know, I've heard a lot of people say that things are not built the way that they used to be. Well, that's true in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways, that's probably for the good. There are some of those things that are for the bad. I'm just like everybody else. I feel that everything has gotten cheaper and things are being made overseas and mass produced and stuff is just junk. I don't necessarily agree with the junk factor, but I do hear that one a lot. Things are made differently than what they once were. Years ago, 50, 75 years ago, we had that American pride around here. Now, I know I do have a lot of viewers in other countries. I see a lot of people in Canada and things. I'm sure your countries were the same way. Things just aren't the way that they used to be. We live in a very strange world these days, and people want quick, easy, and cheap. Quick, easy, and cheap isn't the same as what some of that old stuff was. So either way, that aside, this is what we have to deal with. So, the matter of, furnaces themselves, are they made differently than they used to be? Absolutely. But new furnaces also have those extra bells and whistles on them that we get more efficiency, more safety, more comfort, all those kind of things that go along with it. I don't necessarily think that those are all a bad thing. Now, are those furnaces made like a tank and they weigh 200 pounds and are just big old beasts that will last and burn away in your basement for 40, 50 years? No, they are not. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're worse by any means, because nowadays, like I said, efficiency, comfort, longevity, all that kind of stuff is there, but it's a matter of, it is a trade-off. Now, the average furnace itself, it should, in my opinion, give you a solid 15, 20 years, assuming that everything is taken care of. Now, that's one of the big factors to it, and that's one of the first things I wanted to talk about was maintenance. Just regular servicing. I've talked to so many people out there, and I think I've got another video on the channel about, if you should do maintenance programs and things. I am a believer in maintenance programs, but they're not for everybody, and I would never force anybody or tell anybody that they had to have one by any means, because I think that's absurd. But the idea of having regular service and maintenance done to a system is one of the keys that's going to keep that unit running as long as it possibly can. These days, it is a lot more expensive to have to replace a system than what it used to be. Years ago, I can remember when you could put it in a whole system for $3,000 or $4,000. Then again, I am getting a little older these days, so that's been quite a few years ago. Nowadays, you're usually starting in that $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 range to start with. And it depends on where you're at. I know I'm going to have all kinds of people jump on the comments and say, well, that's absurd. That's either way too much or that's, half the amount of what they charge here. Yes, we all live in different places. Yes, we all have different numbers, and that's what it is. So if you want to fight me on my numbers, that's fine. I don't care. Bring it on. My point is that they are a lot more expensive than what they used to be. So, it's a matter of we are trying to get as much life out of them as possible. That way we get our biggest bang for the buck. But maintenance and looking after that thing by a qualified technician, that's one of the key things I want to put in there, is qualified technician. If you just got chucked down the road that, he's a neighbor's buddy that used to know a guy that did heating and air 25 years ago. He doesn't really qualify as a legitimate contractor. You know what I mean? So we have to be careful what we're doing. But if you're looking at a qualified technician that comes and services that thing, and if you've got a furnace and air, I know there are parts of the country that still don't have central air as a standard. In my area, they go hand in hand. If you've got a forced air furnace, you have air conditioning as well. That's just the way that it is. That's a normal system. But not everywhere is like that. So when I say a lot of things about maintenance, I usually say twice a year. I mean once for the air conditioner and once for the furnace. Either way, you need to have that done. When a qualified technician comes out and does that kind of thing, they are checking the gas pressure, static pressure, the temperature rise. Obviously, they're cleaning the unit, cleaning the burners, changing the filter, checking the ductwork, whole 9 yards. We have to make sure that all that stuff is right. There's so many things out there that I believe that technicians, even professional technicians in the field, forget and skip steps, like static pressure and combustion testing. To me, that's just a staple. I mean, that's just what it should be on any kind of maintenance. It's the only true way to know if that system is actually running accurately, assuming you're doing the combustion numbers correctly. Now, there are a lot of different versions and ways to do that, but the right version, in my opinion, is going to involve pretty much everything that is with that furnace to function. So, we're going to be checking that kind of thing to make sure it's doing right. If you don't have them checked out, chances are you're not going to get as much life out of them. I say 15, 20 years on the average system, but I know where there are 25, pushing 30-year-old systems out there that still run and look like the day they were taken out of the box. But it's all because those things were taken care of. Now, if you have so let's say you put a system in, you don't take care of it. You don't ever let anybody clean it. You don't ever let anybody check it. So if they don't check it, that means maybe something small came up and never got addressed because it was still putting out some heat. So you never noticed and never did anything about it. Well, now all of a sudden that little thing turns into a big thing. Or the fact of your furnace filter. I've got another video out there just about filters. You have to change those filters. Did you know the 1-inch standard? The standard 1-inch furnace filter is supposed to be replaced every 30 days. Don't believe this crap that they put on there about 90-day filters for a 1-inch filter. It's not accurate. They're not going by what the true static pressure readings are. If you do that, then you can see what the resistance across that filter is, and at that point, you know when it's time to change or not. Now, the average homeowner obviously does not check static pressure, so they don't know when the time is. So the best way to say that is put a 30-day date stamp on it. It's way easier than trying to get a manometer out and for the average homeowner to check static pressure and the static drop across that filter. A lot of these manufacturers out there that make filters, they build their own standards as far as what these filters can do. Filtrete is one of the ones that's way, and I know that they put 90 days on their filters. It's a load of crap. I don't care who you are. It absolutely is. Filtrete, if you happen to see this somehow and you don't like this response that I have, give me some other reasoning why, and I'd love to hear it. Because one of the things that they put on there is their rating system. They've got their Supreme and their Elite and all these other just standard, I don't know what all the different ratings are they put on there, but they've got numbers on them, like the Filtrete 2400. What the hell does that mean? Because that scale is only for their filters. That's not on the industry scale. I mean, the industry scale goes off of your MERV rating, which your MERV rating actually is telling you how small of a particulate, small of a micron a particulate has to be before it gets stopped in that filter. So it has nothing to do with actual HVAC standard ratings of any sorts. It's just all about your own personal thing. So sorry, Filtrete, but I don't know. It's bogus. Totally bogus. Prove me wrong. So either way, really went on a tangent on that one. So if you put a furnace in and you have, let's say you have a 1-inch filter in there. Most furnaces are going with upgraded cartridge filters these days. High efficiency filters are absolutely the way to go. And actually money-wise, it comes out about the same, or some of them I've even proven cheaper to go with a high efficiency filter, but that's besides the point. Those will last a little bit longer. You can go 4 to 6 months. Some of them I've seen go longer than 6 months, depending on the house and the condition of the space that it's heating. So it all depends. But that 1-inch filter, if you're not changing it, because I've been to houses and people say, well, yeah, we just moved in here 2 or 3 years ago and the furnace did just fine, but all of a sudden it's not working now. And I say, well, when's the last time you changed your filter? And they say, what filter? That's usually an indicator that there's going to be a problem. That filter needs to be changed. Like I said, there's videos out there. I've got videos out there about how to change your furnace filters. You need to be watching those. If you're one of those people that said, I didn't know my furnace had a filter, you need to figure out how to change your filter. Call somebody. They can show you and explain you and walk you through the process. Either way, that's one of the biggest things. That filters are one of the biggest destroyers of systems out there. Not changing them, things get dirty, things fall apart, things break. It puts a strain on everything. It actually kills compressors for your air conditioner. A lot of people don't realize that. I'm not going to get into an explanation of why, but it's out there. I've actually got another video for it. But filters kill heat exchangers, they kill compressors, they kill blower motors, all kinds of stuff. Not to mention, when everything starts getting dirty and you restrict the airflow, you're hurting your comfort as well. Efficiency, that's a big one. Either way, change those things. I have been in occasions where I've been in someone's house and that furnace is only 5 years old and it needs to be thrown away. I have seen 4 and 5 year old furnaces be taken out, thrown away, and new ones put in. Now that's a horrible, horrible thing to have to see. Most furnaces these days have a minimum of a 5 to 10 year part and labor warranty on them. Some of them even have better warranties like lifetime compressor, lifetime heat exchanger, lifetime unit replacement. There's all kinds of stuff out there. But the basics have at least 10 years, so you ought to be getting at least 10 years out of that damn thing. You know what I mean? It's under warranty. But when it's not taken care of, when you leave it in a space that is just brutal on the system, it's not going to last. If your air conditioner is sitting outside and you let your dog lift his leg and pee all over the side of it, I know that sounds stupid, but it kills air conditioners. I have seen 2-year-old air conditioners that have been taken out, thrown away, and a new one had to be installed because a dog peed all over it. Now, how stupid is that? I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have that dog, but that's just me. Seems like a really expensive dog at that point. So, there's a lot of occasions why those furnaces do die earlier. So, you need to make sure you're taking care of all that. Let somebody come do the maintenance on it, regular checks, and all that kind of stuff. Now, I had said my year was 15, 20 years. If it's taken care of, you should be able to get that pretty easy with pretty low maintenance, all in all. Maybe a part here and there. It's a 20-year-old furnace. That's what it is. I talk to people out there all the time that say, well, my last furnace, it lasted 45 years. I say, well, good for you. What else do you want from me? I mean, you're not down in the new furnace by telling me that your old furnace lasted 45 years. It's a completely different system 45 years ago than what your furnace is now. So they are not comparable. No, they don't last 45 years. That's not reality. That's not what it is. There are a lot of intricate moving parts on those systems. There are things that can fail. Now, can they be fixed? Most of the time, yes. A lot of those small parts and pieces, if something does fail, yeah, it can be replaced. And like I said, a lot of the heat exchanger warranties are lifetime warranties now, especially if you're the original owner. Usually you have full access to all of that lifetime or extended warranty that's there. So there shouldn't be any reason to have to replace at that point. Now, there does come a time when the repairs have added up, and I like to use the phrase nickel and dime, and somebody caught me. Actually, I got a comment a while back, and I thought the guy was poking fun at me because I said nickel and dime, because we were talking about when it is time to replace, and actually ended up, he commented back after I replied, and it's a very nice individual. He said Texas is very happy right now and they love my videos. So hey, I'm cool with that. So if you're watching, dude, hey, I appreciate it. Either way, I took it as hate mail, because I do get that from time to time, believe it or not. But I use the phrase nickel and dime you to death, and I think that there is a point to where the system needs to be replaced, and don't let it nickel and dime you. Yes, repairs are very expensive. Nickel and dime is not a real thing anymore. A lot of these repairs are pushing $500, $750, $1,000, couple $1,000 repairs. It really depends on what it is, especially if you get into some of those brands that are notorious for being a little bit higher than some of the other furnaces, like Carrier, Train, Payne, American Standard. Some of those, they charge an astronomical amount for their parts in comparison to everyone else in the industry. Now, not that they necessarily don't make good systems, but they charge way too damn much for the repairs. I will tell you that. So, once some of these big repairs come up, yes, it is maybe $10,000, $12,000 to put a new system in, maybe more, especially if you need any kind of ductwork done or anything like that. We could be talking a lot more. But, once you get into $3,000, $4,000 in repairs, dude, it's time to do something different. Because, a lot of people say, oh, well, I got a new heat exchanger. It's like a brand new furnace. No, it's not. That's one piece. That's one part. That is one part in that furnace that is 20, 25 years old. Everything else is 20, 25 years old. So that's not to say it's not going to break down tomorrow. And if it's not the heat exchanger, it ain't going to be under warranty. So you're going to be paying all over again. So there does come a point where it is better money spent to upgrade rather than to repair. That's not what this video is supposed to be about. It's about average life expectancies. But, one of the biggest things I wanted to get through was everybody always looks at how long that old one did. Or somebody always has some weird uncle out there that he got 50 years out of his furnace. What's wrong with this one? Well, if he did, that's good. He was probably spending an astronomical amount of money on fuel to heat the house. It was horribly inefficient. If it was 50 years old, I promise you it was inefficient. They didn't make high efficiency 50 years ago. So, it just wasn't there. And now if you believe any of the high efficiency stuff that is out there now or not, some of it I'm sold on, some of them I'm not so much. It just depends on what it is. Either way, I do believe in saving on our utility bills because that's money out of your pocket. I'm not trying to be one of those green freaks out there that wants to make sure we're saving the planet and lessening our carbon footprint. If anybody could really ever tell me what a carbon footprint is. See, this is why I get hate mail sometimes. I apologize to all you tree huggers. If that's what you're into, go after it. Either way, I do believe in efficiency for the fact that we can save some money. Money is hard to come by these days. Look at our economy and the way that things are. It's expensive to live, no matter what you're doing. So anything we can do to lessen some of our bills is an awesome thing. Modern furnaces, yeah, they do that. That's just what it is. So, if your Uncle Chuck down the road had a furnace that lasted 50 years, good for him. You're saving money by not doing what he did. So, that's why I say that 15, 20-year mark is usually a pretty good mark. If you've made a 20-year run, you've had a really good run. It's just like everything else. Everything has a life expectancy. I talked to an individual, actually it's been about a week ago, and they had purchased, it had been 16, 18 years ago. He was under the impression, because he bought a high-end piece of equipment, to heat and cool his home. He was under the impression that the system would outlive him. And this individual is my age. He's probably in his 40s, I would guess. And no, unless he doesn't plan on living very long, it's not going to outlive him. He had no idea or no realization of the fact that equipment is going to have to be replaced. It is not made to last forever. The ones made 50 years ago were not made to last forever. They had life expectancies on them too. People could just push them further and get by with it. It's a matter of everything has to be replaced. There's not many people out there. Look at a vehicle. I always relate everything to vehicles. In our country, not everybody, but a good majority of people have vehicles or drive. Most people know that vehicles have to be replaced after a certain point in time. Now, I do have an older vehicle. My personal truck is, what are we, probably 12? No, we're 13 years old this year. In a lot of people's eyes, that's an old vehicle. In my eyes, it's getting to be an older vehicle. But with an older vehicle, I know that I'm going to have to spend a little bit of money in repairs. I like the vehicle, and really there's nothing wrong with it, so I don't have any reason to get rid of it. Would I like a new one someday? Yeah. They're a little expensive right now, if you hadn't noticed, so I am holding off as long as possible. But how many people buy a vehicle and drive it for 50 years? If you wouldn't do that with a car, why in the world would you do that with the furnace and air conditioner? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why I'm saying is we have to understand that there is an life expectancy there, and it is up to us to see as homeowners, as technicians, as just regular people to make sure we get that full life expectancy out of it. Because if you don't take care of it and you trash it and you run it hard, just like a car, it's going to die. It's not going to do what it was made to do. If you have a vehicle and you buy a new vehicle brand new and you drive it for 15 years and never change the oil in it, do you think you're going to see 20, 25 years out of it? Absolutely not. That's just not how it works. So furnaces and air conditioners are no different. So there is a life expectancy. And I put a solid 15, 20 years on that. I know there's people that are going to yell at me and say, oh, I should be able to get longer. Yeah, you probably can. 25 is not out of reach if you've kept good care of it. I remember it's been quite a few years ago. The woman I'm going to talk about, she has passed on. God rest her soul. She was a nice lady. She was a very stern, particular little woman. I say little because she was a very short lady. But she was, last I saw her, probably upper 80s, early 90s. I'm not 100% sure. And she had maintenance done on that furnace every fall. And it was by her standards. She did not buy maintenance programs. She didn't do anything. She only let specific people take care of it. I happen to be one of those people. And you came out every fall, and she would make her way down the steps because the furnace sat right next to the basement stairs, and she would sit about 3 stairs up, so she would be about eye level with you, and she could see inside that furnace, and she would point her cane inside that furnace and remind you what you were supposed to be doing. But one good thing about Melba was that her furnace was over 30 years old, and it looked just as good, I swear, just as good, if not better, than the day that it came out of the box. So she was a crazy, crazy old lady. I mean, just sweetest thing in the world. But she knew what she wanted, and she was going to get it. And she had no problems telling you or tapping you with that cane if you weren't doing what you were supposed to or what she thought you should be doing. Either way, my point is she took care of that furnace religiously. And that furnace lasted her. So that is the number one key, in my opinion, is taking care of that furnace, having someone look after it, make sure it's clean, and you can get as much life as possible out of it. Like I said, 15, 20 years, yeah. I mean, years ago, I used to say 12 to 15. I've moved up to 15 to 20 because of the price of equipment these days. It's not cheap. There's no way to sugarcoat that. It is an expensive investment, but that's what it is an investment. And everybody forgets that. Everybody just looks at the furnace man came around and cost me a bunch of money. No, the furnace man came around, gave you your best options, and assisted you in making a decision within your investments. Because that's what it is. It's your home. You live there. You own it. It's worth a lot of money, no matter where you're at these days. It's worth a lot of money. So it's an investment. So it's something that you need to take care of. So that's why I put a 15, 20-year life expectancy on there. Some of them fail earlier. Some of them last longer. Absolutely. So that's where I put it. If you have anything, hit me up in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe. Share with your friends, because sharing is just the right thing to do. We all know that. So like I said, hit me up in the comments if you have anything. Otherwise, see you next time.